Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for the June 2016 Coffee Pot webinar series. And Leanne is looking at me funny. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Scott?
I can hear you, Paul. Absolutely.
Okay, well, who cares if Leanne looks at me funny? She looks at me funny all the time, so I'm kind of used to it. We are here for the June 2016 Coffee Pot webinar, and this month we are talking about something called iTimekeep from Bellefield Systems. We're Scott with us from Bellefield, and he is going to talk about that. Without any further ado, first I'm going to acknowledge Leanne and say, yes, Leanne?
So can you ask some of our guests to raise their hand if they are hearing you? I just want to make sure the audio is working.
Could our guests raise their hands? There they go.
All right, good. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So they can hear us. Leanne can't hear us, but she's trapped in a small room with me, so she probably is glad that she can't hear me. Now I'm going to press a couple of magic buttons here, and I am going to switch over to making Scott the presenter. Now, Scott, while I'm doing this, why don't you tell us in 30 seconds or less who you are and how long you've been at Bellefield, and how much you like working there,
okay.
and anything else you want to tell us.
Well, first and foremost, don't tell my fiance that there's a mute button for me. But yeah, again, thanks for having me, Paul. And so a little bit about myself. I'm the sales representative here at Bellefield Systems. I, like you, am a nerd. I've been over here about a little over a year and a half now. Bellefield's been doing mobile time entry for about 6 years. I've been a mobile time entry nerd for about a year and a half. That is our one and only specialty. And so, yeah, no dogs, no cats, but maybe in the future here, we'll see.
No kids?
No kids, not yet. No, that's a couple years down the road as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was.
What is iTimekeep?
Great. So yeah, so mobile time or iTimekeep is our way of allowing attorneys to get the simplest possible, to get their time into tabs in the simplest way possible. So iTimekeep is mobile time entry. You can enter time directly into tabs from any iPhone, iPad, Android, or web browser, and from anywhere.
That's awesome. Now, you say directly into tabs, so this has been integrating with tabs for about as long as Bellefield's been around, I think.
Right. Incidentally,
we worked directly with Gabby and Danny, who used to be the developers, but now have taken on more leadership-oriented roles in helping them to write that interface into tabs. So I'm one of the few people that's intimately familiar with how that time gets into tabs. We're not going to bore you with those details, but so this time that's entered into iTimekeep makes its way to tabs automatically through the control of the people in the billing department. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Can you show us how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to dive right into the demo here. iTimekeep looks just like this on your attorney's phone. And I will also show you the web browser version so you can see how we can enter time across all these devices in the same fashion. We'll go ahead and log in here. And what I want everyone to think about when we're going through this demo is, if you're an attorney, is this something that I can use 10, 15, 20 times a day to capture every bit of my time, all my point ones and point twos? And if you're an administrator at a firm, think, is this something my attorneys will use? If it's simple enough, absolutely. We'll go ahead and dive right in here. There we go. Now, the first time that I log in, it's going to prompt your timekeepers for a username, a password, and a Remember Me button. And I was actually discussing with Paul right before we started the webinar here. We just released two-factor authentication, just like your banking apps. You can use a thumbprint or a PIN as well. So it's the most secure way to enter your time without being directly in the billing system itself. So the first thing you see when you log in is the My Time screen. I want to come back to this. The first thing I want to show you is just your standard time entry. So to do that, we press the plus sign in the top right-hand corner. Now the first thing it's going to prompt us for is our matter. So this is going to default to the most recent matter we've worked on. However, I want to choose a different matter, so I'll go to the suggested matter screen. This is all of the time entries that we've made within the last 30 days, with the most recent being up top. So I'll go ahead and select this Staffy versus Kuntz 0 here. Okay, the date defaults to today. We want to be contemporaneous and enter time as we go. But if we need to play a little catch-up, we can do that. I'll go back to the screen here. Now my hours, I'm going to do a quick .2 here. And then my description, I can type anything I'd like, or what a lot of attorneys love to do is dictate. Email with client regarding settlement, period. I'm going to submit, and that's off and ready to be billed. Awesome. Okay.
I really like that dictation part. That's just inherent to the device, obviously, but very, very cool.
Exactly, and it's nice that you bring that up. So iTimekeep is a native application across these devices, so we're able to use some of the native functionality of the phone, including the dictation. And also, it eliminates some of the need to reload pages and other things of that nature. So it's very, very simple, very fast. So a couple other things that are super important for your attorneys, I'm going to show you in this next time entry here. We'll press the plus sign in the top right-hand corner again. Now let's say, hypothetically, there's a matter, a brand new client just added into Tabs, something we haven't worked on within the last 30 days. Whatever the case may be, that matter is not showing up in our suggested matter screen. So we need to search the Tabs database. So at any time, I can press this search bar and type in any combination of characters that would appear within the matter name, the client name, or the associated codes. I'll press continue search on server, and in real time, all of the characters within those associated fields are presented to us in the results here. So I'll press the Kellogg versus Justice. Now something else to note with this time entry here is that task and activity codes are required. So anything that's required in Tabs is automatically prompted for by iTimekeep. This is important because like I said, it should never take longer than a .1 to enter a .1. And if our attorneys have to remember which codes go with which, they're not going to be as accurate, and it's going to take longer. They might not do the time entry until later, which isn't a good thing. So we'll go ahead and do our time here. I'm going to select these codes at random. I actually have to do that disclaimer because I had an attorney call me out one time and say that those codes don't go together. So
yeah, you got to be careful with tab codes. Yeah.
Exactly. They might get rejected there. But let's say that this, one thing I wanted to show you with this entry, let's say that this was a call with our partner here. I'm just going to type that in real quick. And now I know that our partner is going to be calling me back within minutes here. I just want to make sure I get a placeholder in this entry. So down at the bottom, I'm going to save as draft by sliding that. And then in the top right-hand corner, I'll save draft. Now, you'll notice in the My Time screen here that this has a green dot next to it. That means that this has not yet been submitted. So I can simply dive in once that partner does call back. I can update my time as needed. And then I'll unsave the draft here at the bottom. I know that this is ready to be billed. I don't have to speak with this partner again today. I'll go ahead and submit, and then we're ready to do the next task.
That's cool.
I've got a question for you.
Absolutely.
When you enter your time, can you enter an actual start time and end time, or do you have to enter the 10th of an hour?
Now, you do have to enter the 10th of an hour. Now, what we want to do is make sure we have the most accurate time cards possible. So what we can do, and I know that's a very accurate way, but what we can do is use a timer in that regard. To show you what that would look like, once we're ready to start that, we can start a timer. Okay, and we'll let that run. We can work within iTimekeep as well, with this timer still going and do different tasks as needed. We can pause this. We can end it when it's ready. And then also, let's say something, I hope I'm not rambling here, but let's say for whatever reason we were interrupted and we forgot to pause this timer, or whatever be the reason, we have to make this accurate so we can nudge this timer. So let's pause that and we'll nudge it. Say that we need to take off, add 5 minutes, what have you. We can do that. But once we're done with our timers, we'll go ahead and press end and it'll convert to billable time for you.
That's very cool. That's better than having to put in a start and end time. It's going to do that for you and allow you to adjust it with the nudge if you've, as you say, if you've forgotten that you were keeping track of time.
Exactly.
Is that new in the latest version?
Now, it's kind of got a facelift in this version. In the older version, you had to set your timer. You had to go into settings and turn your timers on, because initially, we were under the impression that not as many timekeepers are using timers as we thought. But then, as we're feedback driven. So as attorneys were saying, hey, we want the timers to be easier, we just put that start button right there.
That's very nice.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and finish this time entry out real quick, and then I'd like to talk about the My Time screen there. We'll just say this was a quick email. Okay. Now the My Time screen here, there are some new features on this that you might not have seen in the old version, Paul. Now, first and foremost, this is a lot like your suggested matters screen. This is all the time entries that we've made within a specified filtered amount of days. You can see I can load 7 more days down there. But the really fascinating part of this screen is that there's accumulation trackers on here. So you can see today I've billed 0.8 hours. On Wednesday I had 4.7 hours. And then down at the bottom there's a month-to-date tracker. So right now we're at 13.2 hours. If we were at the end of June, unless I was on vacation all of June, if I've only billed 13 hours, I know I got to pick it up a little bit or maybe get fired. So this is a way for the attorneys to see exactly where they're at in the month and be able to hold themselves accountable as well when they're billing their time.
Very nice.
Yeah, and while we're talking about that as well, I do want to mention you can filter these options as well. You can see here that I can filter my time period, I can filter the status, and then I can also filter to show me all the time that was submitted by a matter. That way, if the client of that matter says, hey, how much time exactly did you bill in this, I can go right from my phone, maybe they're right in front of me, and show them exactly that. Absolutely. Okay, so a couple other things that are really important for attorneys. Like I said, we want them to have the quickest and simplest way to enter their time. We know that attorneys a lot of times are working on similar things throughout the day. Maybe they're just continuing to email with this client here. We want to get all those point ones and those point twos. So at any time, you can go right into these time entries, and you can simply press and hold. That's going to give the attorney the option to duplicate and edit that time entry. So you can see there that my descriptions remains the same because I've just been emailing this client back and forth. We can update our time and submit. And then again, that's off waiting to be in tabs there. The reason being for that is, like I said, when we're entering time as we go, we're doing a number of different things. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, so I won't dive into how awful time entry is and things of that nature. Our goal is to make that less awful and create better timekeepers. So the result of entering time as we go is we're minimizing time leakage. We have more and more accurate time entries, less rejections, faster billing cycles, less write-offs. We're a well-oiled time entry machine, essentially.
And most important, more money.
Exactly. So all of those things working in unison results in more revenue for the firm.
Awesome.
Great.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
I just wanted to interrupt. Are you going to talk about the technical requirements? For example, do people need to have Tabs3 Connect?
I'll talk about that right now, as long as somebody's asked. No, this is not in any way related to Tabs3 Connect. You do not need to have Tabs3 Connect. You do not need to have Platinum. All you really need is the ODBC drivers. And so if you don't have Platinum SQL, which comes with the drivers free, you pay $99 to STI, and you get the drivers. They get installed as part of the install. It does install on your STI server, so whatever server your STI software is running on, it goes there. if we're going to do the install, we charge a $500 fee. I think Bellefield does the same. It's a rather complex install. But the beauty of it is that once it installs, really it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. The billing administrator runs a routine when he or she wants to pull the time directly into Tabs. It's submitted here, but they run a routine and they monitor that, and that's really all there is to it. So does not require anything except that you have Tabs, and does not require Platinum, does not require Platinum SQL, does, however, require one copy of the ODBC drivers. And I'll turn it back over. Hold on, Leanne says we've got follow-up.
Okay.
It's not actually a follow-up, but it is a new question. The new question is, does iTimekeep combine entries for one day into a single entry in Tabs 3?
Now that's a great question. So I guess short answer, it will not kind of batch those entries. These are going to go into Tabs as single entries. Reason being is that we want them to be as accurate as possible, especially when they're going out to the clients and things like that. So these will go into Tabs as single entries.
However, you can leave one open all day and simply add to it.
Absolutely.
Or restart the timer or pause the timer and keep it going that way. So I think that's the answer to how you would combine them. You wouldn't really have multiples. But I know that, I don't know who's asking, but I'm guessing that the reason someone's asking is because you'll have 4 or 5 emails that go back and forth, and you record them all. And what that really means is that there'll be 5 separate entries that will need to be combined by the billing staff.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just Paul, like you just said, you could certainly combine those within iTimekeep by leaving that draft open and getting all that time. Yeah, thank you. Awesome. Well, yeah, if there weren't any more questions, just a couple things I did want to show you with this. Like I said before, iTimekeep is compatible across any iPhone, iPad, Android device, and web browser. And it's the same experience across all these devices. So I want to pull up the web browser version here and show you what that looks like. Let's say that our attorney started a time entry in Starbucks. They got to get into the office for a meeting, what have you. We never promote time entry while driving. So go ahead and shut down iTimekeep, and then when you get into the office, pull up the web browser version, and you'll see with a quick refresh here, all of the time entries that we were just working on are now available in iTimekeep for us, and there's no interruptions in your timekeeping.
Now, does it run on the Android and iPhone devices as an app?
Yes, it is a native app on the devices, and then the desktop version is a web browser.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. And so for the administrators out there, just to give you an idea of what this would be like on your end, they don't give me access to the admin portal in demo mode here. However, it would look very similar to this, and what you're able to do is from your admin portal of iTimekeep, you can see what time entries are outstanding, what drafts need to be submitted, everything like that, and you can also control the usernames, the passwords, and things of that nature. The reason being for that is I mentioned security before. When you're talking about bringing information out into the world, sensitive client information, you want to make sure that's as secure as possible. So I guess to touch on the integration a little bit here, whenever iTimekeep is pulled up, that your information in the Tabs database is pulled and encrypted in real time, and the moment iTimekeep is shut down, it goes right back into your database, so no information is ever stored outside of your Tabs database. We don't want these phones to be ticking time bombs of sensitive client information, and if someone loses a phone, anyone that wants to get into iTimekeep is going to have a thumbprint or a PIN, or you can simply reset the password from the admin portal as soon as possible.
Awesome. I think Leanne has another question.
I think you just answered this one. Where is the data stored, and can you talk about iTimekeep securing the data? So I think you've covered that one. If someone has a follow-up question, please go ahead and type that in. Then sort of along the same lines, this question is, do we need to allow full access to all client list and matters to the attorneys?
Now, Paul, did you want to jump in there? Or?
Well, I think what they're saying is in tabs we can lock down what timekeepers see of other people's time, and there is something called secure clients. So I think that may be what they're asking, because otherwise you can see every matter unless the matter is secured. So secure clients would only be accessible to the people that are allowed to see that time, and nobody in iTimekeep can see anybody else's time. Mm-hmm. So it's unlike tabs where you can pull up other people's time unless that's been restricted. In iTimekeep, that's not a concern because you're only seeing your time in the system. Now, if they're asking about secure matters, the secure matters are only going to be available to the people who are allowed access to those secure matters.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Paul.
Okay. Well, if that question has not been answered, please follow up with another one. But I have one last question here.
Okay.
Could you just repeat what STI software is needed?
The ODBC drivers. The ODBC, Open Database Connectivity, is what that stands for. They're $99. You need one copy. It goes on the server where something called Bellefield Connect is installed. And Bellefield Connect is kind of like the engine that makes all this possible.
Right.
Again, it's something that nobody ever sees and nobody ever cares about as long as it's working right, and that's our job, either ours here or Bellefield if you're working with them directly. What's interesting about iTimekeep to me is that this isn't just a tabs thing. I mean, there are probably dozens of billing systems now that iTimekeep integrates with. And so iTimekeep has grown from a company of John and Gabby and Danny and maybe one or two other people when I first met them to what is it now? Is it 25 people?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're about 23, 25, and we have a nice staff of interns here this summer as well. So to that point, it's really neat to see the growth. When I started, I think I was the 10th employee, and it's nice because Tabs has always been just such a popular integration of ours and something that we work with extremely smoothly. So it's been nice to kind of see that legacy grow as we do as well. So.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one last question, I think. How much does it cost?
I was waiting for that. Now, there's a couple different ways that we can roll iTimekeep out for you. It is an annual subscription. We're software as a service. So within that, you get full ongoing support, no hidden fees, and then also anytime updates are available, we make them available quarterly. We release updates quarterly. You get those instantly for free. So if someone would like to know specific pricing for their firm, that's definitely something that I can go over with them. If they'd like to contact me, there would just be a couple questions that I would have so that we can put together the best pricing available for them. I always, take it with a grain of salt coming from the sales guy. I always say, hey, this will cost you about 0.2 a month. That you might be losing already, right?
There you go. I know that it's cheaper than putting in Platinum if you have a couple timekeepers that want to enter time. So a lot of people that have come to iTimekeep from Tabs either have or have not considered Platinum, but that's an expensive proposition, and if they're just looking for entering time, the Platinum may not give them the bang for the buck that iTimekeep will. So. Yeah. There's that to consider as well. It's a different cost value proposition, but it works out advantageously if that's what you're looking for, if that's specifically what you're looking for. Okay, absolutely. I am going to once again hit magic buttons, and Scott, I hope I don't lose. Hold on, Leanne's pointing at me too.
Okay.
Paul, can you just say who people should contact if they're interested in purchasing iTimekeep?
Well, they can talk to us. My easy email address is paul@paulpurdue.com, and it's Purdue like the school, not the chicken. And in case you're wondering, that's Purdue. So it's Paul at Paul Purdue, PaulPurdue.com. Now, I'm going to switch control back to Attorney Computer Systems, and there we go. It made it to me. That's good. And I'm going to show you our website and how you find out about more webinars we're giving. But Leanne's waving frantically at me, so I'm going to let her talk while I do this. Go ahead, Leanne.
Just one more question. Does Platinum have the capability of using voice to enter description like we just saw?
Well, I'm 99% certain, so I'm going to go, because it's native to the phone, and so I'm just going to go to my copy of Tabs3 Connect, which is kind of like a sin with Scott on the phone, but we
that's okay.
we'll try not to pay attention to that. Log in. I'm reasonably certain that, yep, there's that little microphone. So yes, just like anything that you would run on an iPhone or an Android that's got that capability. I suppose you could have an old Android. I don't know if there's an iPhone that ever didn't have the ability to talk to that little lady Siri. But yes, that's just kind of built in. Did we get it with questions there, Leanne? Okay. Okay, so we are Attorney Computer Systems, and so if you go to our website, and the reason I'm pointing you here is because we have this video link up at the top in our menu bar, and if you hover over it, you will see a list of all the video titles that we have, including our water cooler virtual user group meetings. We have one for Tabs, one for Practice Master, one for World Docs, and our Coffee Pot webinars. That's where you are right now. These are our 4 live events that we do each month. We also, in case you're curious, have an eVites video series that Mary Jo records each month, 3 of them, one for Tabs, one for Practice Master, one for World Docs. They're very short little snippets with very targeted information, how to do this one thing, this one cool feature that you may not know about. And then we have the longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, again, a pre-recorded show where Mary Jo or myself will take a broader topic and spend a great deal of time with it, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes explaining it in great detail. Now, if we click on the Coffee Pot webinars, you will see that when you go there, you'll find information on how to register for the next webinar. This one, coming up in July, happens to be about using something called ProPay to process credit cards and electronic checks in Tabs 3 and Trust. As you scroll down, you will find information about the more recent webinars that we've given. And here's the one we're at right now, and you'll see it's currently in post-production, so it's not up on the site yet. It's not really currently in post-production. We're not done with it yet. And then as you scroll down even further, you will find recorded versions of all of the Coffee Pot webinars we've ever done. You'll find that for our Tabs 3 Practice Master and World Docs virtual user group meetings. And of course, you'll find recordings of our pre-recorded shows, the Paul and Mary Jo show and the eVites video series. So please take advantage of that. Also, if you're looking for something like iTimekeep, I'm going out on a limb here. I think this search is going to work. There we go. You just type it in there, you'll get a list that pops up right away, or you can click the magnifying glass or hit enter and go to a more detailed list, and that's that. And Leanne is frantically waving her arms over here because this must be a very popular topic. She's got one more question, Leanne?
Yes, Scott. You said that the data is not stored with iTimekeep, but this attendee noticed that information was being delivered through the Bellefield website.
Bellefield.
I'm reading one.
Okay.
Bellefield, sorry. Bellefield's website. And okay, now sorry. I'm glad someone let me know that you couldn't hear me.
Okay.
So the data is not stored in iTimekeep, Scott told us, but this attendee could see that the information was being delivered through the Bellefield website, and she would like a little more clarification on how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this data that I was using here today, this is using our dummy servers here in Pittsburgh. This is purely the demo mode and everything of that nature. Now, iTimekeep runs on our infrastructure. It's hosted in Microsoft Azure and everything of that nature, but your data in Tabs never leaves Tabs.
Yeah, I think that's what he was saying, was that when you call up timekeepers information and rate information and client information, The only time it's in the cloud is traveling back and forth between your STI server and your session wherever you are.
Right.
I think to clarify, the time until it's pulled from the Bellefield portal into Tabs does live in a secure server in the Bellefield infrastructure, but again is only exposed in the cloud when it's traveling from your machine to your device to its server. So there are two servers involved. There's one in your infrastructure, and there's one in the Bellefield infrastructure, but the time is never exposed to the cloud, the clients, the timekeepers, except when they're traveling, and at that point they're traveling over a bank-level secure connection.
Yeah, SSL encryption,
Is that right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, any more questions, Leanne?
No more questions.
Okay, and as I mentioned, next month we're going to be talking to two people from TSYS about their ProPay internet-based merchant processing services that hook directly into Tabs and Trust Accounting to process credit cards and electronic checks from billing and Trust Accounting. Everybody, thanks for coming. Have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the month, and we will see you next month. Thanks much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.